everybody? Welcome back to the Fumble Live. We're breaking down all the latest sports news for you, of course. But first, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Today, we are sporting our football jerseys, our football shirts, to celebrate the NFL being back. So let's show the Fumble squad now, you guys. I'm Devin Howard. You can find me on Instagram as @DevinHoward. And I'm wearing my Chargers shirt right now, my vintage Chargers shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
Thousands of them left if you want one. Thousands of them.
I was waiting for somebody to say something. It's your boy Chris, very fuzzy, but I'm here with my Michael Thomas jersey on. Find me everywhere at CK2K. You can't even see it, but I guarantee you it's there. It's there. The 13's there. You see the for the league. Yeah. Mr. 99 himself. Yes.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Jackie Ray representing the Saints with Chris. Who dat? You can find me everywhere at J Ray the Fanatic. You can find me everywhere at J Ray the Fanatic.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your girl Britt Johnson representing America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. You can follow me on all social media at I am Britt Johnson. I gotta feed Zeke shirt. So it's Ezekiel Elliott. It says feed him in the back, but you can't see it. But whatever. 21. I'm representing Zeke today.
I like it.
And a little Deion Sanders, old school, little Deion, little 21 Deion.
Also, just so I'm not so alone, if anyone in the chat is also a Chargers fan, please let me know. I'll be the, I'm still going to represent. I'm sticking by San Diego, now the LA Chargers. All right, you guys, let's get into the news, okay? Because this first story, I'm very curious to hear what you all say about it. So prior to the game last night, rumors started swirling that Daniel House Jr. wouldn't be suiting up for the game due to personal reasons that were unrelated to COVID-19. This was a little suspicious for Rockets fans, and that suspicion was only compounded when someone on Twitter claimed that he was suspended for sneaking a girl in who wasn't his girlfriend or wife into the bubble. So they tweeted, Woj and Shams will tell y'all what Daniel House did. Just relax and wait for them to tweet it. And then he also added, the NBA clearly said wives and girlfriends only, no random internet keister in the bubble. This person, I don't know who it is. I think it's just a rando that somehow heard about this. And then Woj ended up kind of confirming that something had gone down when he tweeted, Houston Rockets forward Daniel House Jr.'s status for the remainder of the Western Conference semifinals is in jeopardy as the NBA probes a potential violation of bubble protocol. House has denied any wrongdoing in the league. And then this morning, more information came out about what really went down. So Daniel's currently under investigation for allegedly allowing a female COVID-19 testing official into his hotel room. So he didn't try to sneak someone from the outside in. He took someone who was already inside, but broke the bubble rules by inviting her back into his room. But he's maintaining his innocence through all of this. But his involvement in games is definitely in jeopardy. They're expected to make a decision about his status before Game 4. But here's where things get even more weird. Tyson Chandler also missed the game due to personal reasons, but there's less information about what's going on with him. But, this is a pretty pivotal moment for them to be missing games and sitting out for personal reasons, and it is kind of, it's a surprise. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that a woman was brought back to a hotel room. We knew something like this would happen eventually. I thought it would happen way earlier on, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think of all of this. And Chris, I want to know from you, what do you think is going to happen to Daniel?
I think they're going to overreact to what I think is going to happen. Here's my thing. What is she not in the bubble? Am I getting that wrong?
Yeah,
right.
She's a COVID-19 testing official.
The latest thing I saw is that he could possibly be quarantined for 10 days. She's in the bubble. What are you quarantining from? I understand, like, if they want to fine or suspend and whatnot, that's their prerogative. I don't think that is the option. I don't think that's what should happen. But for the whole quarantine thing, like, first of all, they ain't gonna make it no 10 days. The Rockets aren't gonna make it that long. Second of all, I feel like that's overkill. And third of all, she's in the damn bubble. So I don't know. I have thoughts on that, but at the same time, knowing that you're in the playoffs, knowing how important it is and how important you are actually for that team. it's just, I feel like that's just not smart on him. But at the same time, I mean, we've been saying it here, and Stephen A. Smith also been saying that these dudes need it, and they're gonna try to find out how they're gonna find it. Only problem is he got caught. But as far as the whole quarantine thing, I'm a little confused by that one, because what is he quarantined from? Somebody else who's already. I don't know. That's just how I feel on that.
Yeah. The quarantine thing seems a little bit weird, and I can see why the lines would be a little bit blurry for him if she is somebody who works in the bubble. It's not an outsider coming in. So, Chris, I guess I want to know, do you feel like he even needs to be in trouble? Did he need to miss the game last night, or what do you think?
Ooh, see, that's a loaded question. For me personally, I was like, throw a fine at him, call it a night, and let him play the next game. I don't think, it's anything crazy. It's not like he's dressing her up in Rockets gear and sneaking her up into his rooms, nothing like that. Trying to make him look like James Harden or anything like that. And that's not happening. But I mean, in some sense, where they had the rule, so obviously he shouldn't be there canoodling with her. So throw a fine. I'm with that. But as far as the suspension and all that kind of stuff, I feel like it's crazy. If you ask me personally, I feel like it's crazy.
Yeah. So, Jackie, do you think that Daniel knew he was doing something wrong when he invited that woman back to his hotel room, or do you think he felt he was totally in the right to be doing that since she does work in the bubble?
I think he probably thought this was a great idea. She's a COVID tester, so she doesn't have COVID. She's testing people for COVID. She got to be safe. I think he planned this through. This actually probably took some thought. Let me flirt with this COVID tester in case times get rough. I think that's exactly what happened. And then he got in good with her and he invited up, and it seemed like a win-win for everybody. So I'm with Chris on that one. Throw a fine at him. Let's point and laugh at him. That maybe, make some memes out of him, but she literally is a COVID tester. I can't. Yeah. I don't know how. Yeah. I can't even be mad at this because I'm too busy laughing at it. It's like, I'm telling you, he planned this out.
So, Britt, if he is suspended for, the next few games or the rest of the semifinals, do you think that can cost the Rockets the series?
I mean, I don't have the Rockets winning the series anyway. So whether he was going to play or not,
with the full squad, right?
Right.
I don't really think it matters, honestly. But I just think this is just so silly. I think he should actually sue the NBA for discrimination against single people, because just because I don't have a girlfriend or a wife, I can't get any love. What in the Bible book is this? You cannot literally put these stipulations on these players. He did everything right. We talked about it at the beginning of this all happening. Maybe some of the guys are going to have some of the trainers or the people that are the massage therapists, all these people, and just be with those girls. We thought that was perfectly fine at the beginning of the bubble. We said that at the beginning, why don't they just talk to the girls in the bubble? He did what we told him to do. And he's getting in trouble for it. That's just NBA's being really petty. It doesn't even make sense at all. Not only is she in the bubble, but like Jackie said, she was a COVID tester. She has the test literally in her pocket, and she could be like, "Listen, I'm gonna test myself real quick, and then we're gonna get it in." That's the best win-win. Do this. Not bashing him and not suspending him and not having to quarantine him. Come on, this guy's a genius.
If you were his mom, you'd be like, my baby. Right. I'd be like, my baby took protection to a whole new level. I'm so proud. If he was my son, I'd be like, I'm so proud of my kid right now. He's taking protection to the next level. Got a tester right there with him. This is fantastic.
I know. He's really practicing safe sex. Let's move on. Let's talk about Dame Lillard and Michael Porter Jr. So Dame Lillard fired back at Michael Porter Jr. after he criticized his coaches following the Nuggets' 96-85 loss against the Clippers in Game 4 of their second-round playoff series on Wednesday. So I have a clip that I'm going to play for you guys of MPJ talking, but he said that he needs to get more players. They need to get more players involved in the offense and suggested that play calling was to blame. Leo, can you throw that clip up there for us?
I mean, that's really up to the play calls. It's really up to the coaches who they want to put the ball in whose hand. We kept going to Yoke and Maul, and that's I think they're two amazing players. So you can never get mad at that. But I just think to beat that team, we got to get more players involved. We got to move the ball a little bit better. We can't be predictable against that team.
You had 15 points.
So we can stop it there. So Dame ended up retweeting that video and basically voiced that he disagreed with him. He just tweeted, shaking my damn head, SMDH. And then a fan called out Dame by saying, quote, I mean, he isn't technically wrong, Dame, just not the right time or place to voice that opinion, should be kept in-house. Dame wrote back saying, quote, yes, he is wrong. If you know, you know, and I'm going to leave it at that. Kendrick Perkins also called out Michael Porter Jr., writing, this ain't it, young fella. And then a lot of people were coming at Dame saying, you know, he didn't say anything wrong. There was no harm in saying that. And he was like tweeting back to everybody and kind of going back and forth with people. So, Britt, I want to ask you, did Dame have a right to call out Michael Porter Jr.?
I think that's what the old school, and I say old school heads because that's just how Dame plays. Dame is like, he should have been playing in the early 90s back with those guys, because he is, mentality-wise, he's an old school baller, and he's going to talk to the younger guys and be like, listen, my guy, this is not what we do here. Like, if you have issues with their coaches, you take that into the locker room, you talk about it there. Watching the game yesterday, the Celtics and Raptors game, which was a crazy game. Like, if you guys did not see it, it went to double overtime. But in that game, or at the towards the end of that game, when it was 0.5 seconds left, and Kyle Lowry gets like mad at Nick Nurse for like calling a timeout when he could have just like played the ball in or whatever. And after, when he did the interview, he was just like, hey, all that was nothing. Like, he wanted to make sure, like, he's like, me and my coach are cool. Like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, we just had a little thing and wanted to end it there, because he kind of, I know both of them at that time felt like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this right now. You know, we got to try to win this game to get to a game 7. And I think being in the middle of a series, well, technically it's not a middle anymore because Clippers are up 3-1, but still, you're in a series and you're having this moment here where you can then now have, like, the media is going to be like coming in and painting this whole picture of what's going on in the Nuggets locker room, and now it's a whole storyline when y'all should just be focused on trying to catch up to the Clippers in this case. So I thought he just did so many wrong things in that moment by just airing what could be interpreted as some dirty laundry now. Like, what is going on in the locker room? Is there issues or whatever? And now that takes this whole thing into another thing where now you're going to be distracted, because now people are going to be asking you guys questions about this, that, and the third. Like, at least if you want to call out somebody, wait till after the series is over. Don't do it in the middle when you're trying to, you know, move forward and win a thing. Your job is to go out there and play basketball, and you talk about what's happening on the court, or you can talk about your Black Lives Matter stuff, whatever, but that's it. You leave it at that. Don't talk about what's happening inside of the Nuggets itself with the coaches and with the players. That was just not a good idea. So I think Dame was honestly probably trying to help him out in that situation, which don't do that no more, Dame, because now you got to be rooting for my Clippers, okay? I rooted for you. Now you got to root for the Clippers, but you're out. So don't be giving him any more advice.
Chris, do you agree with what Dame and KP said, and do you feel it's wrong to voice those kinds of opinions in a public forum like that?
Yeah, you don't do that. I think this is, if anything, I'm more upset with the Nuggets than with Michael Porter Jr. because obviously those vets aren't really doing a great job being vets to the young rook, because he didn't know to not say that. Like that's like Dame said, if you know, you know, and that's the thing. You should not be saying what you said in public. It could be true, but we shouldn't know that. That should be something that you're talking to with your teammates in the locker room. And I think Dame, like Britt said, like Dame was right to do that, but stop giving him any help or any advice. That's the Nuggets' job. Let them do that. Don't do that unless you're planning on having them on the Blazers sometime in the future. But I'm more with like the Paul Millsaps and those guys. They got some vets on that team. That like those are the guys that I'm looking at. Like, come on, man, you can't let the rookie out here feeling himself that much. Like he's playing well, and now you know he's gonna start talking big, thinking that he should get the ball all the time. Y'all need to bring him down a peg. So yeah, it's just gonna cause a lot of unnecessary conversation now for Nuggets, which is probably good for the Clippers because they're gonna wrap it up in the next game and call it a series.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, a lot of people are criticizing Dame for calling out Michael Porter Jr. So, Jackie, I want to ask you how you feel about all of this. Do you think that Michael Porter Jr. did go against his team by speaking out publicly about this?
I think for the first time now, I fall like in between Britt and Chris because I see it's definitely the vets are supposed to give you guidance. You're supposed to kind of know handling the media is a skill set. And, it's the veterans' job to kind of teach these young guys how to handle the media. Do I think Junior was wrong in his assessment? Absolutely not. I think he was actually spot on in his assessment as far as what they needed to do. And so I think sometimes when you're young and you're in front of the camera, you're having these thoughts in your head at that moment. And so when they ask you the perfect question, you say what you say. Like I said, he wasn't wrong in his assessment, but you don't want to have discord when you're trying to come back from this deficit against this monster team. You want everybody to be on one accord. And so you don't want to be the one that now we have to talk about this instead of talking about how we can beat the team. So this one falls squarely on the vets because, again, I'm not mad at him per se because he's young, and like I said, learning how to handle the media is a skill set. So I think Dame his shaking my head was like, who ain't taught this kid the skill set, So I think that now that they definitely have to teach him. And that statement was spot on and it should have been said in the locker room, but we shouldn't be talking about it today.
Yeah. I feel like Michael Porter Jr. has put his foot in his mouth a couple times. He did with like the Black Lives Matter stuff and whatever too. And so I feel like if this would have been something where like this is his first like, I'm talking in front of the media now because I had a good game and like this is my first good game that I had. So like I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And then like after the fact the vets come and be like, hey, my guy, you can't say this, that, and there. But he like this season he's put his foot in his mouth several times already. And so I'm just like, how like learn from this. Like he keeps not learning or his vets aren't telling him. So hopefully like maybe he heard something with, like Perk or with Dame saying something. But like stop, just say he is, and we said it before to him, say less. Like we've said this before about Michael Porter Jr. to say less. This is another lesson for you to say less, my guy. Like you've done this several times already this season. So be quiet. Just be quiet.
Yeah, and if the vets aren't saying it to him, why isn't his dad saying it to him? Let's not forget who his daddy is. Like, come on, Pop, where are you at? So, yeah.
I feel like he can feel all those things, and like you said, he actually was correct in his assessment, but that's not something that everybody needs to know. That's not something that we need to know on the panel because it just shows that there's stuff going on behind closed doors. It's better to keep that united front looking strong. That's how I feel, and it seems like that's how all of you feel. All right, you guys, well, on that note, we're wrapping up Need to Know News. So, Chris, I'm handing it over to you.
Oh, boy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to get your shades on because it's going to be real fuzzy where we're about to go, and that is the post-up fuzzy quarantine edition. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, but here we are, okay? Like I said, I promise I'm repping Mike Thomas with my jersey, but you can't tell, but it's there. I guarantee it. But starting off and talking about a game that Britt had just mentioned, and that was the incredible back and forth double overtime thriller that was Game 6 between the Raptors and the Celtics. And we have quite a few things we're going to talk about with that game alone, but that game was so intense. It was so you could not stop watching, even when those commercials, like you were not looking away. But Kyle Lowry, for whatever reason, still found a way to still be, well, Kyle Lowry, because in the middle of the second overtime, while they were waiting for the referees to confer on a call and make a decision, Kyle Lowry was over there doing this to the person he's playing against, Jason Tatum, and it's just in perfect Kyle Lowry fashion. Just look at him, just being Kyle Lowry for no reason. Paying attention to what's going on, but you guys finger all up in Jason Tatum's sweatband, just being Kyle Lowry, and it's hilarious. Like, this dude is, right now he's solidifying himself as, a great PG. A lot of people are always up and down on Kyle Lowry, but he's doing great, but he's still being Kyle Lowry along the way, and I'm a fan of that, but that's hilarious. But sticking with this same game, Kyle Lowry's coach might have pissed off Jaylen Brown and the Celtics a little bit, because there was a moment in the game where Jason Tatum had got the ball and drove to the left thinking he was going to pass it to one of his teammates, but in fact he threw the ball away and it was going in the direction of Nick Nurse, who had himself nestled in the corner of the court looking like he was on the court. Jaylen Brown was not a fan of that. Of course, the media took the time to ask Jaylen how he felt about that, and he had some words from Mr. Nick Nurse. Here's that interview.
Like I said before, I think it's a lot of emotions. It's very intense, and things like that. And sometimes things seem to go overboard at times. Let's keep it in check. Let's keep it, respectable, and let's keep playing basketball. Grown men should be able to control themselves. Especially coaching staff. So let's continue to do what we got to do. Play basketball. Let's be ready to fight.
All right, Jaylen. Well, for those of you that have not seen the play, we have the play right here. Mark Jackson is sharing the same sentiment as Jaylen Brown. Listen to Mark Jackson break it down what had happened. Here's that video.
Jaylen, thanks a lot. Did you hear about Odell Beckham?
Nope, nothing.
This halftime.
Wrong, Jaylen. Well, we might not have the video, which is fine. But basically, it was just the play. Like I said, it was Nick Nurse was in the corner. He's wearing all gray, kind of close to the whatever it may be. The fact is, he was close enough to the court where it looked like he was a body on the court, and he was also not wearing the Raptors colors, so he thought he was a teammate. Drove, passed it, went out of bounds because Nick Nurse, of course, is not one of his teammates. So I want to go to you, Ms. Jackie Ray. Do you believe that what Jaylen Brown and Mark Jackson also on air, do you agree with them in the sentiment that this was wrong for Nick Nurse to go out here and try and pull a Jason Kidd and, doing whatever it takes to make sure his team kind of wins? Or do you have no beef with it? Me personally, I got no beef with it, but I want to hear what you have to say about that.
I mean, I don't have any beef with it because I don't have a dog in this race. That's probably the only reason I don't have any beef with it. But yeah, he's definitely wrong. You're not supposed. I think it's funny, but I don't.
Yeah.
Aside from that, I don't have an opinion on it. I thought it was, when I saw it, I was a little confused. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I think Nick Nurse did have some antics, and yeah, he should be called out for him, but not on like a big deal kind of level. It's just what it is. Yeah, like that's a little much, but it just should be kind of, it is what it is. But yeah.
Britt, you watched the game. I'm asking you the same question. Do you feel like Nick Nurse was out of pocket for trying to trick, or actually tricking Jason Tatum the way he did? Talk amongst yourselves.
No, I'm sorry, but I mean, I come from a team that my coach is very vocal. He gets in people's, he's always arguing for his boys or his men or whatever on the team. And I feel like he didn't do it. It's not like the Jets situation where the coach tripped your boy when he was running down the field,
right. On the field,
that. Everything that he did was it's not my fault. You can't see right. Get that 20/20 vision on. Get some LASIK. Figure it out yourself. Right. I don't care. But I don't think what he did was wrong. I think you do what you do. Normally, we would be in a place where there's fans everywhere and whatever, and there's a lot of different energies and different people walking around and stuff like that. So you got to be able to pay attention and know who's on the court and who's sitting courtside. You just got to know the difference, because usually there would have been courtside seats all around and people could have stood up right there and it would have been the same kind of thing. So that's just a bad excuse. That's your own fault, my guy. Nick Nurse, keep doing what you do, and that's why he was Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I agree. I have no problem with it. Nick Nurse didn't do anything out of pocket. He didn't step on the court, so I have no problem with it. He stayed on the line. It's not like he went baseline. Nick Nurse was just being Nick Nurse, and I'm with you. Jason Tatum, you got to have more awareness at that point of the game. I had no beef with it. What were you going to say, Jackie?
I saw somebody respond to a tweet about this with a guy, just pretty much exactly what Britt said. Like, there's usually players or team or audience around the court, and so you got to know fans are all around the court, and there was literally a guy that dressed up like a player and went out and started practicing with
the Pelicans.
The Rockets.
No, it was the Pelicans.
That guy is a legend. Passing him the ball, and I was like, they don't see that he's not a player.
That man
you got to know who's on the side.
Yeah, at regular games, there's guys wearing jerseys sitting courtside. Then they have your team's jersey on. What are you talking about, my guy? That's your own fault. Pay attention more.
Yeah, I understand you're trying to stick up for your teammate and everything, Jalen. But yeah, I agree. It's fair game. Nick Nurse didn't do anything dirty. Didn't step on the court. That's just Jason Tatum not seeing his players. And again, he was wearing gray. The jersey's color of green. You could say, well, anything that's not black or pass to. No, that's a stupid excuse. But whatever. But from one Jalen to another, you guys saw the clip get a sneak peek just now. But we're going from Jalen Brown to Jalen Rose, who. Everyone said hot mic, and it probably was definitely a hot mic moment. But I want to give credit to Jalen Rose because the timing of it was so perfect. Maria's reaction was perfect. The way that ESPN cut to the little promo was perfect. So it probably definitely most likely was a hot mic moment. But just Jalen Rose, just to me, I wasn't crazy about him except when he played the Knicks. He was a player. But man, Jalen post career Jalen Rose, I'm all with it, especially his hairline. I'm reading his book. There's no real book, but I'm trying to find a book on how to get a hairline like him when I'm that age. But here's Jalen Rose being a little messy on air.
Jalen, thanks a lot. Did you hear about Odell Beckham? No.
This halftime.
Oh, no. At this halftime, it was brought to you by. I thought it was great. Like I said, it was definitely a hot mic moment, so fine. But no, I want to give Jalen Rose the credit. I don't care. The cut was perfect. Maria's reaction was perfect. That was 10 out of 10 moment. I thought that was hilarious. That being said, did you guys hear about Odell? No, I was playing. Moving off of Jalen Rose, we are going to talk about Mama Leonard, a.k.a. Kim Leonard. We know that she is, well, she's not quite like her son because she is very vocal and she is very, you know when Mama Leonard is there because she does not hold back and she is, a typical basketball mom, and I'm always here for it. That being said, we had that moment that happened. Was it last season or the year before where we were talking about her, and now we're talking about her again because she was supporting the team and supporting the NBA and supporting everyone's stance on taking the knee during the national anthem, and she was right there doing it on the sideline in her little section along with her son and the rest of the players on the court. And like I said, Kim Leonard, she's on point as she normally and usually is. Also, shout out to Kawhi for bringing in Mama into the bubble because we know he has the girl and he has the girls because he has his girl and his little girl, and still went with Mama because that's the support he needed and he wanted to stay focused on the getting that back to back. So I'm with it. I love everything about it. Go ahead, Mama Leonard. You could tell she want to be on the court with them doing it with there. So shout out to Miss Kim Leonard on that. Now I think this was going to cause a little bit of a stir. Maybe not because we got two Laker fans on the panel. But Kyle Kuzma is issuing a warning to media. All right. So if you're anybody in Bleacher Report, you're in ESPN media, you a beat writer, whatever it may be. Listen up, because Kyle Kuzma is issuing a warning to you right now. Okay, we are right around the corner from MVP voting, and a lot of people have Giannis Antetokounmpo as possibly going to be the back-to-back MVP. But there is a group. We have probably the head of that group in our Fumble squad right now that believes LeBron James is actually truly the MVP after his past season, and somebody who also agrees with Jackie Ray and the rest of the Bronsexuals. He is out here letting them know that with this compilation that was dropped by Ball's Life, he said, "Yo, media, I'm gonna tell y'all this: if y'all mess up this MVP like you did the Defensive Player of the Year, we're gonna have some issues for real." So, media, Kyle Kuzma spoken. If you don't vote for LeBron James, I don't know what's going to come from this threat from Kyle Kuzma. So beware, all right? Vote for LeBron James and Kyle Kuzma. No, I'm obviously joking on this, but Kyle Kuzma, we had our opinions on Anthony Davis winning Defensive Player of the Year. Even Laker fans weren't completely sold on him taking Defensive Player of the Year. So that argument is weak, but he is sticking up for LeBron James, and I do believe that LeBron James does stand a chance for MVP this year. So that being said, Devin, talk to me. Are you with Kyle Kuzma on this one? I need to know because we're right around the corner from this MVP vote. Do you agree with Kyle Kuzma that it should be LeBron James? And if Kyle Kuzma fights the media, and if it's not LeBron James, will you be joining the fight?
Well, I definitely think that LeBron James needs to be named MVP, and I think Kuz's warning to the media is, he's not really the scariest guy, but I definitely think LeBron needs to walk away with MVP, and I will push for that. I will vote for that. I know I've got Jackie on my team, and Jackie's very, she knows how to put up a good fight. So, yes, I will be joining the fight.
That's right, man. Bleacher Report, all the doors will be slammed open if LeBron James does not get MVP. You heard it here first.
That's not entirely true. Listen, if they do a correction, listen, look, I understand. Just like we watch the game and players and the refs do a makeup call because good and damn well that's not the call, but you miss it on the other side. So if they do a makeup and give it to James Harden, I'm not going to be mad at that. But if they do Giannis and give it to Giannis, I will never again in my life take this MVP thing seriously. Never again.
So you're still taking it serious at this point right now? After all the MVPs that he probably was already gypped out of LeBron James?
Well, I mean, yeah, because he doesn't seem to care, so I don't seem to care. I will say this though, of all the people that can be advocate for LeBron James, I don't know how I feel about Kyle Kuzma.
Kyle Kuzma being the one? That's all I think. The responses were hilarious because everyone probably, there's some people that probably agreed with the sentiment, but nobody picked the game from Kyle Kuzma. I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah. But hey, Kyle Kuzma find the good fight. So stay on his good side, media. You heard the threat. Listen to Kyle Kuzma.
TikTok, and then see how threatened you really feel. That's
his
TikTok. And little dances.
Anyways, yeah, I gotta leave Kyle Kuzma. That's a good play. I can't keep throwing all that shade on Kyle Kuzma. But we've been showing a lot of videos and reunions with players in the NBA reuniting with their kids. These cute kid moments and whatnot. Well, there is another bubble going on. And that's the NHL bubble, and Oscar Lindblom has his little moment. Now, he wasn't reuniting with any of his kids. No, he was reuniting with his puppy after Flyers were leaving the bubble. And this bubble was actually, it was kind of cute. And the thing is, there's like two reunions going on in one video, but I want to see if you guys can see the second one if you're not focused on the puppy. Watch, there's two of them going on.
Aww.
Yeah. He just casually in the background watch. No, and it cuts. I didn't even see that till like the third time I watched it because I'm like, cool, okay, so he's reuniting with this puppy. All right, dope. And then I found out in the comments that's a whole other player in the back, and his girlfriend jumps on him. No one cares about that. He cares about Oscar and his puppy reuniting. I thought that was hilarious because puppies and kids, like I said, those are the ones that really gonna grab the heartstrings. But I thought that was funny. So yeah, I mean, cute moment. You got your puppy back. Aww. And last but not least, yesterday, California. I don't even know. I haven't been outside today, so I don't know if it's still as crazy. But definitely in the Bay Area, we had like some Mars type skies going on. Okay, because it was dark orange. If you just looked outside, it was pretty. It was okay. You could see it from where we are over here. I live in Long Beach. You could see it out here, but I was seeing pictures from the Bay Area, San Francisco, and this picture right here, right over Giant Stadium, where it was looking crazy, and that thing looks like out of any apocalypse movie that you can name, any of them, or it looks like some pictures from Mars if you found found buildings over on Mars. It's insane. It looks crazy. And also, like I said, I don't watch much baseball, but isn't orange one of the Giants' colors? Am I wrong?
Yes. Or it's orange and black. So
it's cool, no? I mean, yeah, isn't that kind of cool? Yeah, so I thought that was something to take away from that. But yeah, crazy times right now, especially knowing the reason why this fire is going on. But that's a story for another day. But enough for me. That is it for me here on Post Up. I'm handing it back to you, Miss Devin Howard.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for that. And yes, you guys, the fires in California are getting really bad. So keep the victims and just the state in general in your thoughts and send love to the people who are affected by it. But on that note, Jackie, tell us what we not gonna do. Yes.
Okay, Jackie Ray, what we not gonna do, Orange Sky edition. I want to real quick take back a little bit of the shade I just threw at Kyle Kuzma because I'm trying to get him to start and put Danny Green on the bench. So I take it all back, Kuz. I apologize. But let's get into this first one because this first one, we know that Stephen A. Smith and a lot of other players, former players and commentators have said that this Steve Nash hiring is white privilege. I have been one of those people who have echoed that sentiment. And I understand the argument that it's not white privilege. It's KD and Kyrie who wanted Steve Nash there. And if that is a whole nother issue for me, because if you have two Black players, one of which was adamant, or at least started a conversation about not going into the bubble because of the murder of George Floyd, and he wants to push the needle as far as social justice for Black people, and you took this opportunity to pass on getting a Black coach in that position. So that's a whole nother story for another day. You can check me out on my YouTube page. I talk about that. But I truly don't have any malice. I don't have a bad feeling about Steve Nash. I think he's a cool dude. I think his legacy is dope. I just don't like the timing of it. And I think I have to applaud him for realizing the time that we're in. And he's not taking it as a jab or, a kind of a ding against who he is as a person. And I think he just realizes that where we are, especially the league had 14 Black coaches in 2014, and now we have 5. I think he realizes the time that we're in. So I really have to respect his response. He took some questions and he answered how he's dealing with or what he thinks about people saying him getting the job is white privilege. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
I have benefited from white privilege. Our society has a lot of ground to make up. I'm not saying that this position was a factor as far as white privilege being a factor in this position, but I think as white people, we have to understand that we are served a privilege and a benefit by the color of our skin in our communities. And we have a long way to go to find equality and social and racial justice. So, I hope that I'm.
Yeah, I thought he knocked his response out of the park. If you guys want to watch the whole thing, you can obviously go on Twitter and see that. Just search Steve Nash. But he went on to say that he wants to be an ally, and he's considered himself an ally in the past. And while he doesn't think that he has white privilege for this, he understands why a lot of us think that. But I just don't want to forget the long game, because I don't want us to forget that Black coaches that are in a similar situation, because he's coming in, like Chris said yesterday, a healthy Kyrie, a healthy KD. And if he can't go deep in the playoffs, is what I said. Britt said no, if he doesn't even win the East, a Black coach in that situation doesn't get a long leash. They don't get a lot of opportunities to fail. So I think my question is for you, Britt, if he fails, if they don't have a winning season, or if they don't make it to the playoffs, and there's no talk about him losing his job, and we know that's the narrative with a lot of Black coaches, what does that say?
It says what this whole thing is about. It is then Steve Nash. It would be, yes, white privilege then, because I even just think about Dwayne Casey and him becoming or winning head coach of the year the same season he got fired for not taking the Raptors somewhere, and not having the Raptors come out. So this is the same thing. This will 100% prove that situation was a white privilege situation. If and I was very adamant about with that team, if you don't at least play in the Eastern Conference Finals, right, with that team, then that's on you as a coach. That ain't on that team, because that team is set up to be great, and they were able to even do a little bit without those guys there. So if they can't go even way, especially in the Eastern Conference, Western Conference is always a toss-up, but in the Eastern Conference, if you can't take that team to an Eastern Conference Finals and still have a job after that, then it is definitely white privilege. Right now, yes, I was one of the people that gave him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, because I'm like, well, this is Steve Nash. He's a 2-time NBA MVP. He, has guys like Kevin Durant and Kyrie gunning and wanting him as the coach and stuff like that. So I was like, it is, and especially because my coach is a guy that was hired without any coaching experience. Right. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt there, but it's for sure going to be, yes, it is white privilege if the moment does not happen where the Brooklyn Nets get put in a position to win the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. No, I agree. And it is a tough situation, because Steve Nash is a very likable guy. And I don't think any of us per se are against him getting this job. It's just the optics, you know what I mean? And what it looks like. And so hopefully we don't have to have this conversation again. Hopefully they are successful, but if they're not, we're going to be right back here. We're going to revisit this whole conversation if there's no talks of him losing his job. But let me move on to this next one, because this next one took me a second. I'll have to admit, I didn't entirely know what was going on. So I'm just going to go through my thought process with you guys. So the first thing I see is this tweet. And this tweet says, the NBA is whack and has nothing to do with my dad being dead and everything to do with Black Lives Matter. And then this guy says, I see why your dad wrote you out of the will. I didn't immediately see Craig's name and just realize, oh my God, this is Craig Sayer, the guy that we all love with the gaudy outfits and stuff that people always, suits and the sports coats that had every color on the planet in them. And we loved him for that. And he was so beloved everywhere. And then I'm like, oh crap, this is his son. What did I miss? And then the next thing I see is, I just thought he was racist at first. I thought this was just some racist guy speaking out of pocket. I didn't immediately see his name. And then I see a response from his sister. And then that's kind of when it clicked for me. His sister said this. She said, you haven't watched the NBA in years, Craig. Why pop back in now just to spew this nonsense? What does this even mean? And why drag dad into it? And all he says is, why can't I tweet my opinion? So again, this whole thing is confusing to me. And then what really confused me was now everybody's taking in on Craig, as they should. And then there was one specific response that his sister responded to again. So Leah, if we can throw that one up. This one is the guy asked, he says, learning Craig Sayer was MAGA hurts. Feel like I just found out Santa isn't real. And I'm like, wait, what? And then she basically confirms that. She says he wasn't MAGA. He was a mama's boy and his mother was a staunch Republican. He left the hospital to vote. He didn't leave the hospital because he felt that strongly about voting for Trump, not defending it, just providing context. I am so confused. So I started reading more and sure enough, Craig left the hospital to go vote for Trump. What? Like, I just can't see, if he's not adamant about voting, why do you leave your hospital room literally as you're, I mean, sadly, on damn near out your knocking on death's door? Like, why do you get up out of that situation to go vote for a racist tyrant if you don't somewhat believe in the person you're voting for? So I don't know. This thought process messed me up because we all loved Craig. We all, the entire league, mourned that man, and it was such an honor to see. I forget the guy who got the lady that got his actual jacket. The wife gave away his jacket, and it was such an honor to see that. I was like, damn, I want one of those jackets. Not that I would ever wear it, but you just put this man, especially as a journalist, and he's been in the game for so long, you put him at such a high standard and a high level is in your heart and in your mind. So I don't know. I kind of felt like this next week kind of summed up what I felt when I was reading through this. And he said, Leo, do you have that last tweet? But if not, it's fine. I think I have it summed up. It says, Craig Sayer's story proves all of these people in Black spaces are not really your friends. Here's a man who was beloved by the NBA and the Black community, but behind closed doors, he was voting for Trump right before he died. I don't know. First of all, I don't understand why his son is speaking up now. There are literally, I think it was Greg Popovich who was being interviewed by Craig Jr. And he told him, he's like, yeah, I really wish your dad was here. He didn't even want to talk to him. And we haven't really seen much of him since. So Chris, my question is for you. Finding this out, am I the last one on the train to find this out that Craig literally left his hospital room to go vote for Donald Trump? I don't care anything about his son, but this whole thing kind of just blew my mind. What are your thoughts on this?
No, you're not the last, because I just learned that right now. Because what you started off this thing by saying is exactly what I did. Because I saw Craig Sayer was trending, then I found out it was the son, and the son was already not the most likable dude when he was doing some, because Craig tried to get him to do reporting way back when on TNT and stuff like that, and he wasn't great. And then he had some comments, and then he didn't come back. And then unfortunately, when Craig Sager started to his health started to deteriorate, then he then got brought back because TNT wanted to bring him back to honor his dad. But so when I saw the comments and stuff like that, I was just like, yeah, that sounds about right. He's probably just bitter because of the whole situation. But then learning this part and stuff like that, yeah, I don't know how to feel. I don't know where to go, what to do with that information. That hurts.
Yeah, and then Craig Sager Jr., like I went through his Twitter because that's the first thing I do when people say something weird, right? I just go scour their Twitter. And this isn't just a
Yeah, that's what I'm
today
gonna do.
thing. He's been on this, like, I don't want, like, Black
That's
Lives
what I'm
Matter is a
talking about.
Marxist. He said
Yeah,
it's a Marxist group and they're communists. He's been on this kick for a minute, so I don't know,
that's why
and then
when
to
I
hear, I just thought it was a pissed off dude speaking more nonsense at first. I didn't realize who he was at first, and so then to find this out and then to
yeah,
find out, about Craig voting for Trump and then his mom is all of a sudden it made Junior make sense to me, but in the worst way possible.
yes. I don't know what to do with this information. That hurts. It really does. Like, I didn't know any of that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Like, yeah. So let me know what you guys think about that, because like I said, I'm still in a state of confusion and disbelief and a little bit hurt. But you can put Chris back up on the screen because now it is time. Don't do this blurry. Do it right. Do it with some bass in your voice. Okay?
You think I can control that?
It is time for Britt's takes.
Britt's takes.
Are you ready for some football, you guys? It is here, finally. Today is the first day of the 2020 NFL season. NFL kicks off today, which means the protests will continue. But what will they look like for NFL teams? What will they look like for players? And what will they look like for us fans? So Jerry Jones said that this will actually make a huge impact, these protests, and could be a huge issue if fans don't receive it well. He says this in a interview that he had earlier this week. He was asked the question that if Cowboys, or what would he do if Cowboys turned away from the team over the national anthem protests? And then this is what he had to say. That is a huge issue, huge. That's exactly why I've said that I want our players to be very sensitive to just how important it is to the majority of our fans. More than any other team, the majority of our fans, how sensitive they are recognizing what this great country is and what the flag stands for. He then went on to say, I would expect the Cowboys to show great sensitivity and I hope fans will receive it. However, each individual presents it. That it's a genuine ask for help because right now our society, we got some things we need to address. So in that, he basically is letting everybody know that whether or not his heart has changed in this situation, he did change his rules and he has greenlit players to be able to kneel, stay in the locker room, do whatever they want to do. Tonight actually is the first football game, Thursday Night Football. And obviously, as tradition has it, it's going to be the defending Super Bowl champs, which are the Kansas City Chiefs, and they will be playing the Texans. We know what these two teams have as far as what they've been doing with protest during this offseason leading up to this moment. Patrick Mahomes, we know, was surprisingly one of the big faces that came out in the NFL video that they released for Black Lives Matter. And we all know Deshaun Watson has done a lot of stuff as far as protesting, donating, this, that, and the third. And then everybody's number one guy, Kenny Stills, has been doing a lot of stuff as well when it comes to protesting and the movement and stuff like this. So it is very clear that on both sides of the ball, we are going to see some protests happen tonight. Both teams actually came together and according to reports, now obviously we'll see at kickoff tonight what happens, but according to reports, both teams have actually been considering staying in the locker room during the playing of the national anthem. But to be fair, that's what they've already been allowed to do. If you guys don't remember, the NFL did put a rule in place that players would not be allowed to kneel, the team would get fined. The players don't get in trouble. So this is how Roger Goodell got through that thing that he was talking about never getting players in trouble for kneeling, because the players did not get fined for kneeling. The team got fined if players kneeled during the national anthem. And a way to combat that was they said if any players don't feel comfortable being out there for the national anthem, that they could stay in the locker room. There were games we saw both teams, the whole team stayed in the locker rooms. There were games where we saw some players in the locker room, some players out. But supposedly both of these teams in protest are going to remain in their locker rooms during the playing of the national anthem. Ezekiel Elliott, who is a Dallas Cowboys running back, got Zeke on my shirt today. He actually spoke out earlier this week to talk about what the Cowboys are going to look like, because Cowboys have the Sunday night football game against the Los Angeles Rams. This is a huge, huge game. It's Sunday night football. It is the first game to ever be played at SoFi Stadium. Obviously, I'm really still sad I'm not going to be at that game, but the Rams and Dallas Cowboys, it's just going to be a monster game. It's probably going to be the highest viewed game of the week, especially considering the Monday night games are a doubleheader. So there's going to be 2 games. So I think it's going to spread out the viewership a little bit. But Sunday night football, biggest, brightest lights that you're going to see, and it's going to be the Cowboys and the Rams at SoFi. Zeke had this to say, Leo, if you want to throw that message up. He said, I think we're going to have guys kneeling. We're going to have guys standing. And the biggest thing is that we're all supporting each other. We're all supporting each other, and that's what's going to bring us all together. So going back to this viewership thing, I wanted to look into what Jerry Jones had said, that, you know, this could be a huge impact and it could be a huge issue for a team like the Dallas Cowboys, who are known as America's team, for several reasons. One of them, I think, is the most funny thing. I talk to people about this all the time. The Dallas Cowboys fan group is the most eclectic group of people you will ever see. There are straight thugs that are Dallas Cowboys fans. There are black, white, Mexican, whatever you want to name, people that are Cowboys fans. And then there are the racist, most MAGA group of people that are also Cowboys fans. Like, it is a crazy bunch of group of people. Like, if you've ever been to a Cowboys game anywhere, even, I mean, because we are America's team, we have fans all over this country. So any home team game, if the Cowboys are playing in an away stadium, there's still going to be more than a handful of Cowboys fans there. And you wouldn't, if I didn't have a Cowboys shirt on, you wouldn't be able to tell if I'm a Cowboys fan or not. There's just so many different types of looks of Dallas Cowboys fans. Some with Cowboys hats on, some with like do-rags on, you know, like you see a whole range of people. So going back to Jerry Jones's point of the majority of the fans, I wouldn't say it's the majority. I would say it's a random amount, because you look at teams like New England has a look. There's definitely a look for their fan base. There's a look for the Raiders fan base, you know, like a lot of teams have a look of like what their fans look like. The Dallas Cowboys, it's just like the most Republican of Republicans, the most Democrat of Democrats, liberal, conservative. We have it all. So I wanted to look at, okay, how would this affect the viewership? Like Jerry Jones said, like there are people that are super sensitive to the flag, even though we have known for the last 4 years that has nothing to do with the flag. I've done stuff on Britt's Take about my brother who is in the military, and he literally looked up the whole penal code for the flag, and there's nothing in the flag penal code that says that kneeling for the flag is considered disrespectful to the flag. He did name a bunch of stuff that is, which is laying the flag out horizontal, which we do during the national anthem. That's actually considered disrespectful to the flag. Wearing any paraphernalia or whatever that is the flag is disrespectful. So everybody that wears flag t-shirts and bandanas and whatever, technically that's actually disrespecting the flag. But kneeling is not on that list. And you can ask anybody that's in the military, they actually know that. But this is now going down to, how does this affect the NFL moving forward? We already know, as Zeke said, that there are going to be players on the Dallas Cowboys team that kneel. Dak Prescott came out as well and said that he thinks it should be an individual's decision whether they kneel or stand, but what they're all going to do is make sure that they support each other in whatever decision that they make on that team. All eyes will be watching, obviously, because this is going to be something very different from the Dallas Cowboys way they did stuff in the past. We all remember that moment where the whole team kneeled together before the national anthem, and Jerry Jones made sure he got the camera guy to get that photo op of that moment, and then they all ended up standing for the flag after that. But then after that, the players were not allowed in Jerry's role for the national anthem. So this is a very, not saying it's a change of heart, this is a change of rules for Jerry Jones to allow the players to now kneel in this situation. So going to the viewership, I wanted to look at basically what the NBA has been. So, because we see a lot of different fans in the NBA too. Obviously, you go to Utah, Denver, and you'll see a lot more conservative fans. You come to LA with the Clippers and Lakers, you'll see more liberal fans, you know, and the NBA has a wide range of different types of people that are fans. We're not like NASCAR, where it's mostly a conservative fan base. The NBA is like the NFL, and there's fans of all different shapes, sizes, you know, backgrounds, and this, that, and the third. So I wanted to use the NBA and what they've experienced since joining, being into the bubble, and how that has affected their viewership. So the NBA announced that their viewership in this playoffs has gone down 30%. They are Black Lives Matter everywhere you look. It's on the field, or it's on the court, it's on players' backs, it's this, that, and the third. So it's literally like Black Lives Matter just like threw up all over the place, and it's there. It is there. You can't look away. So they're saying, so there's people that argue, well, see, having all this Black Lives Matter stuff means we're going to lose viewership and the NBA is down 30%. Well, for those of you guys who don't understand TV ratings and stuff, you would say that, right? But those numbers don't actually mean a whole lot, because number one, these games are happening at different times than they've ever happened before. Usually we have games that are played on the East Coast, and we have games that are played on the West Coast. At both those games, they will be played at their actual night, what's considered nighttime. Right now, all the players are playing on the East Coast, so we do not have games that are starting at 7:30 p.m. We have games that are starting at like 6 p.m. So the games, and we have games starting at like 3 or 2 o'clock or whatever the case is. The games are starting a lot earlier, and they're ending a lot earlier, because we don't have the West Coast games. You can't have the players out there saying, hey, we're going to start a game at 9:30 p.m. Make sure you're ready. No, they don't play that late until 1 o'clock in the morning. Normally, we would have those games all at night. We would see all the games in the playoffs being played at night, whether you're on the East Coast or on the West Coast. And for the East Coasters, when they watch the West Coast games, their games go till 1 o'clock in the morning. Right now, they don't, because the players all have to play on the East Coast right now. So there is a such thing as daytime and prime time. The primetime numbers for the NBA games have actually been better than they were last year. However, the daytime numbers aren't as good. Why? Because people have jobs. So people are not able to watch those earlier games that start at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, because they're at work still. So those numbers, because it's a scale here, those numbers have actually tipped the scale a little bit, because the NBA, or because we're not watching the daytime games. So if you take an average here and you take an average there and you put it together, it's going to mess it up a little bit, because this average is lower than last year, which was all primetime games. So that is number one reason why we are down 30%, because of that situation. So primetime games are actually up. This game 2, I believe, of the Rockets and Lakers game that happened over this weekend actually was the most watched game of of all the playoffs so far this year, and it was higher than some numbers from the NBA Finals from last year. So I don't think that has anything to do with it. I don't think we lost fans like people think that we have. I just think it's the time of the games. The games are played different times now than they normally are, and then also to add to that, we usually have several of those games being played on ABC. All of these games have either been on ESPN or TNT. We have had no ABC games. What is ABC? ABC is a channel that can be broadcasted on anything. You don't have to have cable. You don't have to have a Hulu watch thing. You don't have to, wherever you watch your live TV at, you can just plug in your TV and you get ABC. So we're actually missing a whole fan base of people that don't get to watch the game, because there's no games that are being played on ABC right now. And ABC is local TV, so anybody can plug in a TV and get it. So there's a lot of people that maybe can't afford to have cable and watch it on ESPN or TNT, and they don't get to see it. So we have taken millions and millions of viewership away from players or from fans because they can't watch the games because they are not on ABC. So that all combined, I think the numbers are actually just as they should be. If you know TV ratings, we have not lost fans because of Black Lives Matter literally being everywhere. And it's not going to be everywhere in football. They have some games where they're going to have it in the end zones, yes, and players are going to be allowed to have the names of victims on their helmets and this, that, and the third. But other than that, I think it's been more prevalent in NBA than it's going to be in the NFL this year. So, Jerry, as a Cowboys fan, you ain't got nothing to worry about, bruh. I don't think you guys should be even worried about what fans are going to be thinking about this, because guess what? We're worried about people's lives here. We're worried about the injustices that are happening in this country, and I think that's the most important thing we need to focus on. And if there are super racist fans that don't want to watch football anymore because of it, goodbye. Guess what? No one's going to miss you, because I think that the NFL is also going to gain some people that they have lost in the past because they have decided to, be quiet about certain things that are important and stuff like that. And being able, I'm going to be very proud of the players that decide to kneel for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday. I will be rooting for them. I will be so proud of them. I'm not going to be like, oh, look at that guy. There are going to be some people like that. Goodbye. If you don't want to watch football anymore, you're not going to be missed, because there's a whole new younger generation that is ready to stand behind, just like everybody that came out and said they wanted to support why can't I think of his name right now? NASCAR.
Bubba.
Yeah,
Wallace.
because they wanted to support Bubba now. So I think we're going to get a whole new group of people that are going to either come back to the NFL or be new fans of the NFL because of this movement. So the players, do what you feel most comfortable with. If you want to kneel. If you want to stand, that is okay too. I'm not judging anybody for whatever they decide to do for whatever reason. And like Zeke said, I think the most important thing is that they all support each other and they all care for each other in these moments. Chris, my question is going to be to you. Do you think the NFL will lose its audience over these protests?
I mean, yeah, like you said, I think you're going to lose people and you're going to lose some fans because it's still football and you're going to have a lot of those fans that are going to feel the type of way. But I'm with you. I think it's going to come with the territory and they'll be just fine even with those fans that they lose. I think they'll be just fine. But I don't think it's going to be any crazy 75%, 50%, 40%, even 40% that they're going to lose of the fan base. But yeah, they'll of course lose some people because of the areas where some of these teams are and the fan bases and blah, blah. Like you mentioned, with just the Cowboys in general has every damn near type of person that roots for the Cowboys. Yeah. So imagine the teams that have certain select fans, they're going to be a little upset about it, but it'll be fine. And the NFL won't, I don't think they'll really lose much engagement if they let this happen. And I think they should let it happen. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, it looks like they're going to let it happen. Obviously, first game kicks off tonight. I got to switch the tip to the kickoff now. Kicks off tonight. Right. So we'll see what especially I'm excited to see what Kenny Stills ends up doing, because he's been very, very vocal during this time. We'll be looking out for that. Obviously, I'm sure we're going to have tons of stuff coming to you guys tomorrow that is football related. Yes, there's just one game tonight, but I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about tomorrow on this for sure. But I also don't think that these fans are going to be gone for long. If there are fans that decide to, not watch the first couple, get mad about something, I still think they're going to come back. I really do. I don't think people are going to go a whole 17-week season and not watch any football. I just really don't believe that. I think people are going to be burning stuff, and then a couple weeks later, they're going to have to rebuy the jersey that they just burned. I'm sure people did that with LeBron James. I'm sure there's literally freaking Cavs fans that burned his jersey that now are LeBron James fans again and still cheer for him. So, that is it to take today. Obviously, we'll have some more tomorrow on NFL. And I am number one person probably on this panel that is so excited the NFL's back. You guys know the NFL is my baby. I love football. I can name things off the back of my head. I just love football so much. So, NFL's back. I'm excited to see what changes hopefully are made during this time. And yeah, that is it for Britt's Take today.
All right, Britt, thank you so much for that. Yeah, you guys make sure you are tuning in. Let us know in the chat what you're most excited about for the upcoming season, who you're rooting for. You know, we've got our Saints fans here, our Cowboy girl here. We've got the Chargers girl here. So it'll be
Devin, I didn't see not one person. You said, hey, Chargers fans in the comments. I didn't see one Chargers fan speak up. Just have your family. I know your family's the only group of Chargers fans ever. Just have your family come in the chat and like help you out tomorrow or something.
I should, but honestly, I'm used to my lonely life of isolation. I've accepted it. It's okay. I don't mind being alone. It's all right, you guys. All right, let's wrap up the show. Make sure you subscribe, tap the bell for notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and we'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
The best back.
Who that?